Good evening and welcome to the Neighborhood Passions Affinity Network, presented by Google Fiber and Neighbor to Neighbor. My name is Jim Hawk, and I'm the Executive Director of Neighbor to Neighbor and your host this evening. Tonight, we're focusing on one of the 8 key neighborhood passions, creating community and honoring diversity. And I want to thank our passion sponsor, HCA Healthcare and Tristar Health. Our topic this evening, Halloween in our neighborhoods. Now, Halloween is just around the corner. Just like some households go all out, so do some neighborhoods. Halloween can be a great community building event. It's also a great opportunity to celebrate the children in your neighborhood. During this session, we'll visit with representatives from a few neighborhood organizations to learn how they celebrate this holiday. We are pleased to welcome Quinta Martin and Tranyce Parmer and others as our guests this evening. Quinta is president of the Haynes Heights Neighborhood Association in North Nashville, and Tranyce is president of the Friends of Oakwood Park. To start off with you two, I think that this is really interesting. We have one of the oldest neighborhoods in the city represented tonight with Quinta, and Tranyce's neighborhood organization is just getting started. So we have the new and the old with us. And I think that I'm excited to see that, and I'm excited to learn from you all about this. When we talk about the roles of a neighborhood organization, there's 4 basic roles, and the one that I have been focusing on a lot is the social, particularly in this time of COVID, but even post-COVID. Social connections are so important. When neighbors are surveyed about why they get involved in their neighborhood organization or why they would come to a neighborhood, it's because they want to get to know their neighbors. And so these opportunities for socializing with one another become really important. And using all of the means available to us, including holidays, is one way for us to grow our neighborhood organization and to make new connections with people who maybe wouldn't have participated before. Now, I know a lot of people like to think that advocacy is the most important thing in a neighborhood, and it is very important. But when we have these community building events where people get a chance to get to know one another, we're actually engaged in trust building exercises. And trust building is really, really important in order to move to the advocacy scale side. So tonight we're going to focus on Halloween in neighborhoods. And I wanted to check in with Quinta first, since her neighborhood is one of the older neighborhoods, although they're young in spirit. I wanted to, and it looks like you're in a pretty scary place tonight, Quinta. Can with those trees behind you, can you tell us a little bit about Haynes Heights Neighborhood?
Haynes Heights is a 125 home association. It is a voluntary association, just not connected with the mortgage. And we have membership in the association, dues paid membership, but we have a lot of programs that are open to the entire community. That is, we want to make every homeowner, we have about 25% of our homeowners who are not residents in the neighborhood, they actually rent their properties, but we also include them in all of the communications that we send out about our association. So we want to make sure that our homeowners and our residents feel like that they are a part of something that is beneficial to them, whether or not they actually contribute with their dues, with their funds, because you get a lot of cooperation for other things like neighborhood watch and the business. We have a business directory of who in the neighborhood has businesses, and we want to support our neighbors who have businesses. So you get benefits whether you're a member or not. And so we have a lot of what we call member benefits programs. Sometimes we charge for those and sometimes we don't. So, we're very trying to be what you call neighbor friendly, very neighbor friendly, especially in a time when you have a lot of gentrification going on and you have a lot of development going on and you need people's cooperation and you need their support. So we are neighbor friendly.
Wonderful. Thank you, Quinta. Let's go over to East Nashville now, or East Nashville, Madison area, because you're on the cusp, Tranyce, and tell us about your neighborhood.
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off of what Quinta just said about, experiencing some gentrification and getting an influx of people interested in this area, developing certain older homes here, as well as just moving in from different parts of the nation. We're starting to see that. And so it was important to me to really play an active role in preserving what was already here, but also creating an environment that's friendly and open to others who are coming in and making homes in our neighborhood. And so Friends of Oakwood Park, I didn't title that. That was already established, but I've been appointed as the president of that Facebook group as well as our neighborhood group. And that's just what we're aiming to do. We're aiming to become more friendly with our neighbors as we get to know them. Many of them on different streets in this area we are familiar with because this is an older area. Many of the homes were built in like the late 50s, early 60s, all the way through the 70s. And so it's unique in the sense that they're not being demolished when people do enter and start to make a home out of these places, but the character is being preserved. You may see new siding, you may see new paint, you may see some of the aesthetic things that we're seeing on many homes in Nashville that are newer in make, but the character is still there. And so we want to just drive in everybody coming together to enjoy each other first before we hit that advocacy part. And so that's what we're learning right now is how can we play an active role in shaping what we like this community to look like, not only right now, but in the future. We have a lot to work on structurally in terms of appointing people names and titles, but we are getting the hang of hosting different events like neighborhood cleanup and our Halloween event.
So you're new. About how many people are participating in your organization right now?
Well, about 10. I take 10 to 11 people show up. But in terms of titles, that commitment is something we're working on. In terms of titles, I think we can get a solid handful to establish an active board or at least an association of some sort that we can say, hey, this person is this, whether it's treasurer or the communications person, president, and that type of thing, just so we can get a little bit more organization to us. But the events are definitely helping out in that regard because you get a feel of who's really going to keep showing up and what interests they may have.
And so you are preparing for Halloween. Can you tell us a little bit about the event that you're planning?
So we're titling it the Halloween Block Party, but it's not as big of a block party because of COVID restrictions, right? So, and other people's comfort level, which we want to respect because, like I said, this is an area full of elders as well as young people, and I believe in cherishing my elders. So, that's the thing about it. If we're not all vaccinated or not practicing the same way, we have to cherish what was here before and laying the groundwork for us now. So with this particular event, what we're encouraging neighbors to do is, if you're not comfortable with door-to-door giving, set everything at the edge of your driveway or have pre-made goodie bags in your yard or on a table at the edge of your driveway as an alternative. The block party piece is coming from us really encouraging those who are comfortable with congregating to head to Oakwood Park and enjoy maybe some food trucks that we're going to try to have sitting up there during the event timing, which is from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. that night. And in addition to that, we wanted to encourage people to at least be festive. So we're like, let's have a yard or house competition, like deck your yard out, deck your house out, and we're going to let MMPD be the judge of best decorated house. Because what I didn't mention earlier is this area has a hit and miss relationship with the East Precinct and MMPD as a whole. And so that's a component we're really trying to work on, is how do we build that relationship, especially with new members at these precincts. Our community coordinator is new, Sergeant Jessica Ware. She's been fantastic with staying in contact with us and making herself available to meet with us however often we see fit and are comfortable with. And so we're working closely with them with developing events like Hike with the Cop and Coffee with the Cop in our park. Because again, two things we want to drive in on: using that park as much as possible because it's recently renovated. We haven't had those amenities this entire time, and it's beautiful. And we also want to build relationships. And so we're starting in the areas where it's the most problematic for us, and that's with the police department, that trust. And we just like, this is the perfect time for them to build in that regard. Be the judge, so I'm not biased. You know, my household isn't biased. They can go around and say who they feel did the best in dressing it, and we are awarding the cash prize for best dressed house or yard.
Maybe I need to move to your area and compete.
Maybe we'll take you, man. We'll take you.
Thanks, Tranyce. We're gonna get back to you. I want to go over to Quinta though, and just find out from you. What are you doing for Halloween this year?
Well, this is going to be our first in-person event since COVID. We have a lake in the middle of our subdivision, and so that has been our gathering point for all of our neighborhood activities. So it's this large area, it's open, and there'll be enough space that people can congregate and not have to worry about it. But we have traditionally put together little gift bags that include age appropriate things for the children in our neighborhood. And we've been doing, we haven't had people going door to door for Halloween treats for a long time. And that's because of the neighborhoods around us that have had kids that are older and, might be a little intimidating for the little kids. So we have basically, as an association, done a special little goodie bag for, the children in the neighborhood. But this year we're going to have our first in-person event. We're going to, it's going to be marketed as a membership benefit. And, we will, of course, will promote, everybody should join the association, But because we have more than 50% of our households who are already members of the association, we don't really have to do a lot of marketing. So we will be having a costume party, with the kids. We will have little goodie bags. We will have some games. We will have a costume party with the adults in terms of, since everybody will be asked to wear a mask, we will have a mask competition. You have your regular mask, but decorate your mask in some kind of ways so that you can be, Halloweenish in terms of your participation. And it will be on Sunday afternoon, since Halloween is on Sunday this year, which makes it good. It is a night, the Sunday after Tennessee State's homecoming, so we couldn't do anything on a Saturday or Friday. So we're going to do it in the mid-afternoon, like around 2 or 3 o'clock, while it's still warm before it gets dark. It'll only be for about an hour, hour and a half. We'll have some music. We'll have some little food, like, some apple cider, some hot chocolate, some cookies, popcorn, candy corn, different things that are kind of Halloween, apples, those kind of things. But we won't have a lot of what you call person-to-person connection. We won't be asking people to do anything that is outside of their family unit unless it's something that they feel comfortable doing. Some of us have, been doing things all along, and so it won't matter that we interface on a skin-to-skin level. But we do is it Tranyce? What's your Tranyce? Tranyce. As Tranyce has said, we do have older people, so even if we don't want to have the young people take the coronavirus back to the younger people when they go back, and I'm proud to say we have more than 70% of our neighborhood is vaccinated. We encourage vaccination. So we have more than 70% of our neighborhood vaccinated, which is good. And we will probably have a very nice gathering because people have been sequestered for 18, 19 months, and so they're glad to get out.
Well, Quinta, that's great, and I'm impressed that you're able to give us stats on your COVID-19 vaccination. When you talked earlier about that 50%, at least 50% of the residents or households are already members of the organization, but you still have to promote it. How do you get the word out about this event?
To promote the event, we have a newsletter, and then we also have been working on our, we have constant contact as a method of communication. So it's like a flyer, a little marketing flyer. And of course, we have neighbors that want to participate by donating something. So we have, for instance, Miss Elam is the cake lady. So, when people find out Miss Elam's bringing some cake, they're all excited because they want to get some of Miss Elam's cake, and we have like Winnie is the fruit lady. She brings all the fruits, all the different kinds of fruits. So people have some kind of, identifiable characteristic that people want to participate in. We have some musicians that are in our neighborhood, and they perform, they come and perform at our events. So, if they hear that, so-and-so's going to come, they want to, come and if it's disco music, that kind of thing, or if it's actually performances, they come to do that. So we have, I guess you could say, a following of you. We can always count on the same 25, 30 people to come to certain things, no matter what it is. And then we just have to try to get the other people, which if you have it at the lake, when people are coming home from church or they're going wherever they're going, they drive by and then you say, hey, come on, come on out. And they do. So that's how it kind of works.
Yeah. Fantastic. And before I go to Tranyce, let me ask you also, it sounds like a pretty big event. How many people are helping to organize it?
My event?
Yes.
We have a committee. We have a membership committee, and the membership committee is not that large. It's only about 5 people on the committee. But what we always do is we offer the members an opportunity to participate. So if they want to be on the committee, or if they want to volunteer for something, or if they want to contribute something, we include them that way. So the flyer will say things like games. If you want to, help lead a game, let us know. Or if we say something like, as I said, Miss Elam usually brings the cakes, So if you want to bring, a cake, and these people are very COVID minded, so they're not going to just bring a cake and cut it right there. It's going to be already pre-wrapped in the, in the Glad wrap bag and those kind of things, because they're just as concerned about COVID as anybody else. So it's we have a very sensitive and empathetic leadership team. I would say our leadership team, besides our actual board, our board is 7 members, but our actual leadership team is about 15 members, that goes out and, they'll, based on, what it is needs to be done, they'll take the lead and go out and get certain things. Somebody will probably say, well, I want some balloons. I think the kids should have balloons. So, then they'll take the lead and go out and get the balloons. So we incorporate whatever anybody wants to do.
I love it. And a lot of times we make the mistake as neighborhood leaders of trying to do things for the neighborhood. And what we have to do, and you're doing very well there, is allowing neighbors to engage at a level that they feel comfortable with and take the lead. That's something that is absolutely really important for neighborhood organizations to do. Don't get caught in you're doing this for the neighborhood. You're not. You're inviting the neighborhood to work. Sort of like that old stone soup fable that we heard when we were growing up, right? We need a few more things here. Can you help us? So wonderful. Before I go to Tranyce, I see Carolyn has a question. So let me ask Carolyn to give her question.
My concern was the lake. How far away from the lake so you don't have small kids, you know, running and want to go to the lake. So that was a concern for me if I was a mother. Do you have fence around it, or, you know, you have somebody watching it, or what's the concern with the lake?
We haven't ever had any, we haven't ever had any incidents or any kind of situation where the parents or an adult is not with the kid. And the lake is about, if you were to take a real city yard, it's about 2 yards. The area that we in is about 2 yards, you know, two yards wide from the street till you get to the lake. And the lake, the part that we are in, that we congregate in, is a long area, narrow, you know, lengthy area. So you have the width, and then you have the length. So you have a lot of space where you can not even get close to the lake. You know what I'm saying? We have enough space, so we have protection for that. Yeah.
That's good.
Well, Tranyce, let me turn to you. How are you getting word out about your event to your neighbors?
Doing it the old-fashioned way, going, you know, and printing flyers and passing them out. That's been the main thing. And then also we have the Friends of Oakwood Facebook page, and so I've been updating that routinely, as well as reaching out to Councilwoman Nancy Van Rees and having her to put it in her newsletter. So a lot of things have been electronic for the most part, just because when I started, you know, being a part of this organization, a lot of it was on Facebook. That was the main way that they were communicating. But the issue that I found is that a lot of people that was on that Facebook group weren't really residents. They were, you know, owners of property and were renting out. And so now we're working on getting the word out about the Facebook page, as well as keeping some type of line of communication open by printing out flyers and having events where people can see us out cleaning and stop us and ask us, you know, who are you? How can we stay connected to neighborhood affairs in this area? And so that's been the main thing: the Facebook page and printing out flyers.
And remind me again, how many households do you have in your neighborhood?
That I'm not certain of.
Okay.
I'm not at all. Yeah, I know that Bethwood is the longest street out of the three of Allenwood, Sladen, and Bethwood, and then we have mostly Oakwood and Jones area. But all of District 8 goes into what you were talking about earlier in the meeting, Madison area too. So covering a lot, but we focus on those main streets here.
And are you doing all this work, or do you have a group working on it? How is this coming about?
Yeah, at the moment it's mostly me and like a couple other people when it comes to passing things out and getting the word out. But there's definitely been an influx of interest after we mentioned the competition. So I'm hoping that the new folks who are coming in on the Facebook page and DMing me, you know, really show up to many of the neighborhood cleanups. That's when we see people mostly active. And when I told you we have about 10 people who show up for those, and that's because they want to see the litter issue get resolved around here. So some of those people have been helping off and on, but how I work around that is I upload the graphic for whatever flyer I'm trying to pass out onto that Facebook page, and encourage them to print that out and post it on their street, you know, if they want to do anything. And then when we meet in our neighborhood meetings on Zoom, we talk about better ways of effectively communicating. But I like what Quinta is doing with the newsletter. I think that may be something we'll be able to establish in the new year once we get roles assigned.
Yeah, I love the newsletter. I'm a big fan of getting it out at least a couple times a year. And the other thing that Quinta is doing in her neighborhood is the constant contact. And that's a great service for being able to communicate to people newsletter wise. Love that a lot. Well, what questions do you all have for our two guests tonight, besides the whether the lake's a safe lake?
Well, I have a question for Carolyn, for Annie. You're Antioch, Carolyn? Is that what you said? Okay, so
Yeah. Yes.
so you said you're the president of your association, is that
No,
correct?
no, I'm just in the neighborhood watch. I'm
Oh,
the one behind. I just
okay.
do neighborhood watch on my street and in my area. But no,
Well,
I'm not big.
well,
We only
Antioch's pretty big. So
right.
how,
We only have 216 homes in our uh, suburb, our little Lakeside Cove suburb. So it's 216 homes, and it's only one way in, one way out. So we don't have that many. We have a lot of homes around us, but just our little area is 216 homes. And so we're very small, but yet we used to have a very involved HOA, but now we're going into, as Jim said, we're going into a lot of changes because we had great secretary, great treasurer, everything, but they have gotten tired. So now we're looking for some more people. But the only problem is this area is mostly senior citizen. I would say 50% senior and maybe 50% families, small children, but mostly seniors. And so that's one reason why the Halloween hasn't really been that important, because most people go to the mall, they go to our famous Smith Spring Center, community center. They usually have some activity in the community center. So most of the children go there, but we just have more seniors, and we can count the small children. When they come to my door, it's very few. I think I had about 10 or 15 last year that came to my door. So yeah, we're a very small subdivision, and I like it. I like one way in, one way out.
yeah.
So I really like that. But like you say, Antioch.
What about you, Anita?
Anita.
Go ahead.
Anita.
No, go ahead, Carol. You said Antioch is big.
But
Yeah.
we're growing. We have so many new apartment homes down Hobson Pike. It's growing like crazy. But in my little subdivision, 216 homes. But all out the outside areas, we got new stores, new restaurants, and it is really growing, really, really growing. We've outgrown the little space that we have.
Anita,
over here in East Nashville, normally 2 or 3 neighborhood associations will get together for events, like we have a East Nashville Easter egg hunt, and this year for Halloween, the East Nashville precinct is having a Halloween trunk or treat next Thursday at the name of the place, but it's on Dickerson Road. So they've sent out flyers about that. And again, a couple of neighborhood associations over here in East Nashville told me that they were all getting together, including our group, to have Halloween event. And I said, well, do you all need anything? Do we need candy or anything? They were like, no, we have enough. And so at that point, I just realized, after I finished talking to them, they never told me when or where it was going to be. I guess they were like, we need no candy from you. So that is on my list to follow up on tomorrow, to find out where it's going to be. In the past, we have had, like, we will pick a street in the 2 or 3 neighborhood associations, and then we will provide candy to those houses on that street. And then we ask the kids to focus on that street. That keeps them safe, and they're not walking or trying to get their parents to drive them around. So we try to focus on one street and make sure that street has all the candy, and that's where the kids go. But I sort of got left out of the loop. this year. But I do know that the East Precinct is having a Halloween trunk or treat on Dickerson Road next Thursday. They didn't need any candy from me for that either. So.
Yeah, that event is actually the location is Rocket Ship, because we've been promoting that on Friends of Oakwood Park too.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And it's awesome because you don't have to bring anything. Apparently Hershey donated a ton of candy to them. And so if you want to participate, all you have to do is show up, deck out your back, your trunk, and bring a container, and you just pass out from there. Because I'm actually going to participate in that because, like I said, kind of like what Carolyn and Quinta was talking about, we've seen a decline in a lot of involvement in this area. And so right now we're in the rebooted phase. We're being highly optimistic about the turnout for this event. But we're going to push through, and it's going to be basically the highlight to the groundwork we'll have to put in should we decide to have an even bigger event before the year is out around Christmas. And so this is like a little testing, but I mean, we're sitting in a good position. We've seen some houses decorate, and that's encouraging. So we have people participating in that. And yeah, we're going to try to do the Rocket Ship Trick or Trunk event as well, because that's with MNPD. And I feel like a lot of people would trust that a lot more too, because of the COVID and all of that. Like, we just sit in a position where people are so iffy about everything. And so it's understandable. We're just working with what we have right now.
I'd like to say this because I didn't say it before. A lot of times they think Halloween is just for the kids, because we do have a lot of seniors. We also do a little basket for the seniors, because we know they don't get out. They don't want to get. They're scared to get out. That kind of thing. So we have a little card that we say for the seniors, and we take them like a little piece of cake or a little candy bag or something like that. Just so that they don't feel left out. And I wouldn't say our neighborhood is 50% seniors. I would say it's more closer to like 25 or 30% seniors. So, they feel like it's an intergenerational thing. We try to make sure that when we have activities, even when we have our Christmas things and we do things like Valentine's or something, we try to make it intergenerational, just so they know, we watch out. We have neighborhood watch, but we had a program when the very first year, it was called Senior Care. And we had a committee that did nothing but all year round, did little special things for seniors throughout the year. And so we try to, incorporate that. Now it's in our membership program, but in our membership committee, but it's still there. And that makes them feel good too. Plus they like to write checks. Seniors like to write checks.
That is a good idea to include the seniors. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anita, I wanted to ask you, are you near Haynes Heights area? Is that the part of East Nashville?
No, I'm over by, do you know where the pharmacy hamburger place is?
Yeah, McFerrin Avenue area.
I'm sorry, say that again.
You saying like the McFerrin Avenue area?
Yes,
over there?
that's where we are. Yes.
Yeah, that always blows my mind that McFerrin Avenue is not in McFerrin Park neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you there, Jim. I'm with you there. And then I used to ride Metro, so like I was always confused by McFerrin Avenue and the 30 running the route that it does. I'm like, it doesn't make sense when you start hitting Douglas area
anymore. They cut that bus route out about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
But years ago, we would just tell people we're over like by the old Miller's Clinic. But now almost everybody knows what the pharmacy is. So I used to say the pharmacy, and most, especially young people, they usually know where that is. And I tell everybody, the pharmacy used to be my granddaughter's daycare. Our daycare center, the pharmacy. Yes.
They know that. Now it's the burger and soda joint.
It's the worst burgers.
I go for the chicken, man. I go for the chicken.
Hey, I before we're moving toward closing time here, I wanted to check in with you about one other thing. celebrating successes, no matter how small they are or how big they are, is really important. I'm absolutely convinced that you both are going to have a successful event. The only question is how big it's going to be, right? How will you celebrate that in your neighborhood?
Well, I would say, as you say, no matter how small or how large. I remember, I'll just kind of throw you off with an example. We started a neighborhood shred. Once a year, we would do a neighborhood shred, and we asked people ahead of time that they want to do it. And they said, some said yes, some said no. And so the first year we did it, we had maybe 10 people show up. And then and by the time it was time to come around the next time, we had about 40 people asking us, and can we bring people from outside the neighborhood and that kind of stuff to participate, et cetera, et cetera. So we had to change, if you're in the neighborhood, you free, out of the neighborhood, you pay $5 a box. So we take every little thing that we do, even if you only have 5 people show up, and use that as how do we use that to get more people engaged. So like I said, when we started the Halloween thing, we knew people didn't want to take their kids around because they were scared of, the big kids, coming in and harassing the little kids. And we started out, we knew that we had maybe there were 8 people that we knew had children, and then it became, people got the word out that we were doing it, and then they started telling us, they would bring their grandkids who didn't even live in the neighborhood so that they could participate in the Halloween thing. And so the way we looked at that was, even though the grandkid didn't live in the neighborhood, that got the parent, the person who did live in the neighborhood, involved. And so when you wanted to do something else, they were involved in the organization that way. So I think our board has always had this thing about, people don't like HOAs. I hate to, if you have one, I'm sorry, but they feel like that HOA is telling them what to do. And we keep telling them, we're not telling you what to do. We're asking you what you want to do. You know what I mean? And so we just keep that in the forefront, that we are trying to engage people who have a passion about their own their living community, and to fulfill their vision of what they want their community to be, and to help the neighborhood itself, particularly when you have development all around you and changes with the city and changes with people from outside of the city. You have to have an advocate for your neighborhood as a group, because you can't do it as an individual. You have to do it as a group. So, I mean, even if you only had 10 people show up at the Halloween party, we would make it seem like there were 100 people, because we take pictures of the kids and everything they did, put it on, the newsletter, put it, send out a follow-up constant contact. Thank you so much for participating, just to make it seem like, we had a lot of participation. And that it grows exponentially year after year after year. So don't feel bad because I've been out there sometimes, just me and 2 or 3 people, and we were like, why are we doing this? Nobody's coming. And the next thing you know, the first thing they say is, when are you going to do such and such? I'm going, the thing that you didn't come to, now you want to have it. So you have to think of it that way. You have to think of it that way. So
yeah, I think someone said recently, if it don't see it on Facebook, it never happened. Now I don't believe that, but I do believe that success breeds success, and people want to belong to a successful organization. So by celebrating those successes, Facebook, the newsletter, constant contact, whatever it is, you do get people engaged. It's like you're engaging people for the next big thing down the road, or the next thing that you're going to do. Tranyce, how are you going to celebrate? How are you going to get the word out that you had a great event?
Much of what Quinta just said, I've been kind of implementing that with each event that we've had. So far we've done neighborhood cleanup, like every 2 months out. People are starting to look forward to that. And I take photos and do all those things, and I encourage them to take photos, because when we first started this, again, we were doing a lot of things remotely. And so instead of having people gather in the park, we would say just clean up your street with your cleanup crew and take photos. And that happened early on. And so that's what I do. I like take the photos that they send and then photos that I have, and we post it on the page. What I go into every event though thinking is about consistency and building. So if one person shows up, I'm not disappointed. I'm like, this is the start, you know. And so evidence of that was our other event that we hosted, was a neighborhood yard sale. Hardly anyone participated as sellers, but we did have people who stopped by, you know, in the area to purchase. And it's like we had one other resident aside from myself to participate. And I'm like, that's one. And then when other residents visited, they were like, hey, when's the next one? Because I have things I want to get rid of. And so kind of what Quinta was talking about, sometimes it's monkey see, monkey do, for lack of a better word. And you have to hit the ground running and do it, you know, for your own purpose at the time. And then it becomes a communal thing. And so with this event, my goal is to try to attract people. Again, we're enticing them with the competition. That's gotten people to say, hey, sign me up, and giving me their addresses. But also, if we can get the food trucks out, I think that more people will gravitate, because we have food and then you have decorations. And we're just going to celebrate that as a success and a step in the right direction moving forward. And I guess the beauty in all of these things, you trial and error, is that you learn what worked and what didn't. And the common thing that I guess was a consensus for us is the way we communicate, because we do have elders in this area. Many of them refuse to get on Facebook. And so this time around, we hit them with flyers. And when people see me out now, they're like, are you the girl that's hanging up the flyers in this area? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, okay, here's the issue we had with the QR code. I'm like, okay, let me not use QR codes the next time on a flyer and just put it on the print. So learning things like that, so that even when I'm encouraging people to print off the flyer, it's something that the neighbors can actually use, versus having a number of questions around. And so, I mean, it's a lot of monkey see, monkey do, like I said, around here, but I'm encouraged. If it's just one person, I'm going to be ecstatic about it. And like Quinta said, we're going to take 1,000 pictures of that one person doing tons of things till we get the next one. And hopefully it brings more numbers.
I hope you both will send me some of your photographs so we can share them alongside this video, right?
Yeah, we'll do, man.
Well, we are running to the last few minutes. Anybody else have anything they want to say before we wrap up?
I'd like to say I'm glad to meet everybody. Glad to meet you guys.
Yeah. I want to say thank you for the great information, Quinta, how you said? Quinta. About the senior packages and everything. I'm going to try to incorporate that with our HOA. That was very informative. And like I tell Jim, this is for information, and I love it. And I'm glad, you know, that everybody doesn't come, but everybody needs it. That's the problem. You know, people don't think they need this information, but really, I wish more people had come, because you ladies were excellent. Great information. So I'm going to pass it to my HOA. So thank you so much. And I tell Jim, very informative, very.
So next week, coming up on Saturday, November the 13th, is World Kindness Day. And I bring that up because I don't know about you, but I'm seeing an awful lot of angry people on the road. And it seems like everywhere we go, on Facebook, wherever it is. And I think that one of the things that's exciting to me that we can do, and it doesn't take that much work, is promote World Kindness Day. And encourage people to find a way to say a kind word or do a kind deed for their neighbors. So next week, we're going to focus on World Kindness Day, and we're going to do one of two things. I haven't got a confirmation yet. We have a fellow who has worked on a kindness project in his neighborhood, and he's trying to get here next week. So if we can get him, we're going to have him as a kindness art project, which I'd love love for you here. If not, we're just going to talk about the concept of World Kindness Day and think together about ways that we could promote that day in our neighborhood. So be sure to sign up for that. I really, Quinta, Tranyce, I really appreciate you all being here today. I'm thankful for Carolyn and Nita for joining us. And I just look forward to visiting with you all again very soon.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Jim. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jim. Thanks, Jim,
Bye-bye.
for putting this